Ari Fleischer is a neocon and a former Bush administration official, and he proudly proclaimed his love of regime change in Iran on Fox News this week.
I will tell you who is taking on Iranian leadership, and that is Mike Pompeo. He was speaking over the weekend, and he had some scathing words on the Iranian government. Listen.
These hypocritical holy men have devised all kinds of crooked schemes to become some of the wealthiest men on earth while their people suffer. The level of corruption and wealth among Iranian leaders shows that Iran is run by something that resembles the mafia more than a government.
What did you make of that comparison?
I welcomed it. It was Ronald Reagan-like. And you know what? Iran is going through turmoil in its streets and its cities right now and has been for months. And it's a leaderless rebellion that's taking place because there's such a dissatisfaction throughout the Iranian society with its government. And Mike Pompeo put his finger on one of the biggest problems, and it's corruption. The people want their basic needs. They want their food. They want their health care. They want their environment. And the Iranian government is so corrupt, it's making it much harder for people to live in that country. So fascinating change is underway inside Iran. No one can predict where they're going to go. But the more unstable we can help Iran to become, the better it is to actually secure peace if we can get rid of that theological regime one day, or if the Iranian people can get rid of it themselves.
So it's
the more unstable we can make the Iranian regime become, the better for stability in the region. That's quite possibly the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Now, the Iranian government, it is true that they're a theocracy. It is true that in many respects they're brutal. And that does need to be called out. And there's no denying that fact. However, at the same time, it needs to be pointed out that they are relatively stable compared to other countries in the region. And if you go through a cycle of political turmoil in that country, that would be a disaster for the region beyond belief. So it's just the fact that a neocon in the United States is cheering regime change in Iran. The nerve of these guys. I mean, remember, it was the U.S. government, it was the CIA that overthrew the Iranian government in 1953 and put in a dictator, the Shah, and overthrew Mohammad Mossadegh, the democratically elected leader. Why did they do that? Because we wanted cheap oil for the UK and for us. We overthrew a democratically elected government to rob their oil. Think about that. And that's what led to the Islamic Revolution in 1979. So, the nerve of these guys, the idea that Ari Fleischer has the best needs and wants of the Iranian people, in his mind. Utter nonsense. He wants another U.S. puppet state, a client state. Now, again, that doesn't mean that the Iranian government is good and that they're not a theocracy. They indeed aren't good, and they are a theocracy. And if there was a peaceful transition of power, then that would be a good thing. But he's fucking cheerleading, making the regime, quote, unstable. These guys don't give a shit about Iranians. They don't give a shit about civilians. These are the same people that pushed for and still support the war in Iraq, which killed minimum 200,000 civilians. We fucking tortured people. He doesn't care. He supports those things. So, I mean, it's just amazing that it's just so disingenuous. That's what annoys me about it. Just be honest. Be honest about your actual take and what you really think about Iranians, and don't try to cloak it in like humanitarian concern. It would just be good for the people if the region was more unstable. No, it wouldn't. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then, okay, the best parts, Pompeo was talking about, it's a really crooked regime over there. It's like the mafia is running the country. The wealth disparities. You're going to talk about income inequality, wealth disparity for Iran, but you're not going to bring it up about the United States of America. Come on, son. I mean, what a joke. They bring up corruption. They're like, the corruption's out of this world. I mean, who are we kidding? Corruption. Our entire system is run on legal bribery. The military-industrial complex, Goldman Sachs, Wall Street, big banks, multinational corporations. Are you kidding me? We have legalized bribery in this country. That's what we have. Never mind the fact that even if you put that aside, Donald Trump is in a court case right now, and 2 courts in a row have ruled, there's a good emoluments case against him. He's violating the emoluments clause of the Constitution. He's taking money for profit from foreign governments at his hotels. So Even if you put aside the legalized bribery, there could be illegal bribery going on. Unbelievable that they care about corruption, but never for the U.S. Never for the U.S. Only for Iran. And then finally, he says, hey man, Ari Fleischer goes, Iran, people need help over there, man. It's like they need their basic needs met, like their health care. Bro, what? No, bitch. No. You don't get to say that. You don't get to say that. You don't get to say that. Anywhere from 38,000 to 45,000 Americans die every year because they don't have access to basic health care. We have 30 million uninsured people. In this last year, Trump's first year in office, 3 million more people lost their health insurance. We have price gouging out the wazoo. We pay double what other countries pay for our health care, and we don't even cover everybody. And you have the nerve to talk about Iranian health care. These guys are unbelievable, man. Listen, neoconservatism is a fundamentalist religion. It is an American supremacist fundamentalist religion. I don't know what the question is. I don't care what the question is. The answer is more U.S. military power and imperialism.